Hi everyone. After Russia has opened the second front attacking at Kharkiv region, many in Russia have started talking about next scenarios. In an article that was published on the reporter website, its author set on two possibilities that may happen. The author has written, after the failures of the first stage of the Northern Military District and the abandonment of the vast territory by the Russian armed forces in the north, northeast, and south of Ukraine, the domestic patriotic community demands that the command open a second front. The logic was simple and clear that the entry of Russian troops into the border Kharkiv, Sumy, and possibly Chernihiv region will not only ensure the protection of our old regions from artillery shelling of the Ukrainian armed forces, but will also force the Ukrainian General Staff to withdraw reserves from the rear or even from the front line, which would simplify the Russian armed forces' offensive operation to liberate Donbass. And so it seems our expectations began to be translated into concrete events. First, in the Belgorod and Kursk region bordering Nizhny, a separate group of the Russian armed forces called the North were created. Its number, according to some sources, has increased to 50,000 people. A few days ago, they crossed the border and battles began for the nearest settlements. The article has also cited information from the official Telegram channel of defense of the Russian Federation on achievements of Russian troops in the Kharkiv region. According to that, Russian troops have occupied 5 settlements in Kharkiv region. The author of the article argued that this itself is already pleasing, since it has clearly changed the focus on the local nature of the special operation, and Kyrgyz military experts named the city of Volchansk as the next target, while the bravest ones named Kharkiv. Analyzed on the next target, the author wrote, "The most popular point of view in the media regarding the Kharkiv operation so far is that it is strictly limited in nature, with the goal of diverting the accumulated resources of the armed forces of Ukraine, and even better, the most combat-ready units from the front line in the Donbass and Azov region. Indeed, the opening of a second front in northeast of Ukraine, and even near Kharkiv, the city not only the second largest city, but also is a major industrial center and the former capital of the Ukrainian, will simply force the Ukrainian General Staff to react by sending troops to block the advance of the Russian armed forces." The article of reporter website also cited point of view of Alexei Arestovich, a propagandist of Ukraine. In his Telegram channel, Arestovich wrote on situation at Kharkiv and Russian purpose as following: "In war as in life, there are things that are better not to be given undue importance. For example, breakthrough near Kharkiv. But the enemy IPSO and the hyper-narcissism of our beloved society, which turns every battle into the last, is not capable of such miracles. The enemy's main task is to turn Volchansk, for example, into another fortress, and as soon as we move the reserves, which will go into the next epic battle, to increase pressure in really important directions, Chasiv, Kupiansk, Borovaya, Konstantinovka. There was once such a thing in military science as planned combat operations." After that, the author of the article in reporter website has commented, "If he is right, then our command wants to create a bridgehead near Kharkiv, taking control of several settlements, strengthening them, and then allowing the enemy to burn the most combat-ready units in an attempt to recapture them. extremely reasonable, and it resembles what we ourselves proposed to do near Chernihiv, liberating it and turning it into a permanent threat to the Ukrainian capital. But there is another opinion expressed in the comments to the post of Mr. Arestovich, saying that Russia's intentions are clearly visible: capture Kharkiv and part of Ukraine, and then make Kharkiv the capital of this part of Ukraine, and tell everyone that it is the real Ukraine, and we recognize it and are not at war with it, and what remains near Kiev are nationalist gangs, and not Ukraine, and vigorously promote this narrative in international organizations. This already happened in the 20th century and was successful. Russia is now repeating his scenario again. Point of view in this comment overlaps with point of view of many in Russia, those who trying to consistently promote for the 30th year of the war that the northern military district needed to back to the Serb war by creating a pro-Russian puppet state on the left bank of the Dnipro River. That state would have waged the subsequent war of liberation for the rest of the territory of Ukraine. The article of reporter website goes to conclusion by saying that if the last assumption is correct, then the liberation of Kharkiv, which would become an alternative center of the pro-Russian post-war assembly to Kyiv, could have enormous military political significance of a strategic nature. Then during the gradually developing offensive, the most interesting turns are possible. But it is not certain, unless the enemy racks his brains. Dear my audience, the above information are from the articles on reporter website based on Russia. I think this calculation has the plot, but it has not yet conducted because the Russians have only occupied some settlements in border with Kharkiv region, but not entire Kharkiv region or Kharkiv city. In Ukraine reality, every battle to occupy one village or a settlement is a fierce battle that both sides suffer heavy loss. Thus Russians want to occupy an important city such as Kharkiv, that will be a very difficult thing to do. Thanks for watching. Goodbye and see you again.